Hello everybody and welcome to this new little series. It's kind of an original series taking place about... When did I start rebooting everything? I mean, this was supposed to come sooner, so let's say 9 months ago? It's kind of what happened to all the... why everything was rebooted in an in-universe explanation. I thought it was a cool idea and decided to do it. So yeah, because there's this little lore between each universe of my what ifs, and it's an interesting thing to explore. If you enjoy this video and want to see more, as always, please hit that like button, and if you aren't already, you can always subscribe. Yes. Well, all that said, please enjoy this special video.
I ran. I couldn't let it happen again. I couldn't see that again. So I accelerated until I was going as fast as I could go, but even that wasn't enough. So I started going faster. Energy surged from my body as only the lightning was left behind me. It happened. I attained enough velocity and I broke through the dimensional barrier. I came crashing out of a portal, hitting a trash bin. I got up and took a look around. I was in a dark alley, so I walked to the main street. It took me a moment to take in my surroundings. I knew where I was, on a small street called Coruscant Avenue in Musutafu, Japan. I looked at my wrist to get situated. The chronal navigator read Earth 2305. Got the right place, I said to myself as I put on my goggles. I need to act fast. Luckily, speed was my specialty. I ran going towards UA High. In a breeze I passed through the gates, the alarms not going off. The system still recognized me, but not as me since I didn't exist. He has to be around here, I thought to myself as I started searching through the whole campus. First I checked the 1A dorms. He wasn't there. Then I looked in the gym. He wasn't there either. Then I went through the main building. I looked in all the classrooms, but couldn't find him. I eventually found him tinkering on some invention in the support lab. "Peter Parker," I said, catching my breath. "I need you to come with me."
What?
He exclaimed, surprised as I just materialized in front of him.
Who are you?
My name is J. West Allen. I need you to come with me. This is urgent. The multiverse is in grave danger, I said as fast as I could, still making it understandable.
Hold on, what's going on?
He asked, trying to calm me down. He likely needed more details than that, but time was short. "It's too long a story. I just need you to trust me," I said. Wanting to explain further, I didn't have any time to explain. That would come later. Before I could speak any further, it began to happen again. I took too long and he had arrived. Peter looked at his surroundings, a worrisome expression on his face, as if he was sensing what had just happened.
What's going on?
Peter asked, as pain hit his body. He fell to the ground and slowly began to turn to dust. I'm so sorry," I said as I saw the horrified expression overcame his face. He reached out to me, searching for help, for salvation, but at this point it was too late.
I don't want to go,"
he said before disappearing completely. Crap, I exclaimed as I started running. This whole universe was turning into dust, and after it was gone, I would be next. I accelerated as much as I could, reaching Mach 2 in a couple seconds. As I kept going into Mach 3 and higher, my backpack began to work its magic. Once I reached Mach 5, a portal opened before me and I escaped into the Speed Force before the universe I was just in was fully gone. His death made an impression on me. That horrified look on his face, it was one I couldn't simply forget. It reminded me of the day it all went wrong. It was a normal day, like any other. I was training at Gym Gamma with my sister John and Damien, testing Damien's reaction time. Then suddenly a portal opened behind us and a man in a white lab coat who had an interesting steampunk look came out of the portal.
"Where is John Kent?"
The man said as he stepped out of the portal. He seemed to be worried or in distress.
"I need his help. The multiverse is in trouble." "See? I told you the multiverse was real!"
John exclaimed excitedly. None of us believed him when he explained the concept or that it actually happened, so he was probably pretty happy to have some proof. After all, it's not every day a man comes out of a seemingly interdimensional portal.
This doesn't prove your point.
Damien responded, condescending as ever.
I just want the record to say I believed in you all along.
Nora said, putting her hand on John's shoulder. She was the more optimistic of both of us. What's going on? I asked the man. As always, I was asking the important questions. The man went into an explanation. Apparently, in another world, something catastrophic was about to occur, something which went under his nose for too long. Shigaraki, the leader of the villain group called League of Villains, was in this incubator thingy, going through a kind of metamorphosis. During this time, apparently Albedo, a kind of evil twin of that world's Izuku Midoriya, had altered the procedure using a device called the Ultitrax? Ultimatrix? That's it, using a device called Ultimatrix. Anyway, they used this machine to alter the procedure in a way that would give Shigaraki godlike powers. After hearing that, we quickly agreed to help. Paradox opened another portal and we stepped through it, meeting up with a bunch of different people. Most of them were Izuku Midoriyas from Class 1A, but there were a couple of other people among them. I recognized Todoroki from Class 1A, a girl which looked like a weird cross between a human and a raccoon, who wielded a hammer, a giant chicken for some reason, a girl which reminded me a lot of Izuku, and a couple others. Hey, how come there are so many Izukus around? Is he that important? I asked my sister. It struck me as weird why there were so many of him. Why did they all seem to have strange gimmicks? One of the Izukus, one who wore this weird watch thingy, gave a bit of a speech to inspire us. Once he was done, the lab coat professor guy opened a portal and we were off. We appeared in Dimension 10, storming the facility where Shigaraki's incubation chamber was being held. We ran out of the portal, stepping into an empty facility where there was stuff there, but for the size it seemed like a waste, as there was only one man there, a man who seemed to be a doctor. The calm expression that was on his face quickly turned into one of worry.
Huh? How? Why? How?
He shouted as he, the doctor who was keeping watch over Shigaraki, scrambled to escape. We were about to follow him, but before we could, a bunch of Nomu came bursting out of some glass tubes, blocking our path.
Protect me! Protect me, my creations!
The doctor shouted as he retreated deeper into his lab. These were different from the Nomu I had seen in Hosu. They seemed smarter, sentient even. Hearing their master's orders, the Nomu went on the offense. We ourselves reacted accordingly. The leaders of the Nomu approached us. It was one of the Midoriyas who reacted first. He grabbed a sword from the middle of the air and sliced at the Nomu, cutting his arm off.
Don't think it'll be so easy to push us back,
he said, cracking a grin as a dark armor surrounded him.
I'll take this one.
A blue-looking Midoriya said. He disappeared, leaving behind him a puff of smoke. He reappeared on a Nomu's shoulder, grabbing onto him and disappearing again, taking the Nomu with him. I wasn't sure if that elf-looking guy was actually Midoriya, but he looked close enough. No doubt he was trying to separate him from the fight.
Let's do this!
Another Izuku said, creating a machine like fists in his hands. He met a Nomu sponge, pushing him back slightly, then turned the fist into a sword and slashed at the Nomu, but his machine sword broke as it hit the skin.
Man, that other meme made it look so easy,
he said, getting ready to continue the battle.
I'm going ghost!
Another Midoriya cried out as he transformed. His hair turned white and his suit changed color, then charged at one another sentient Nomu, shooting a couple different energy blasts.
Hurts!
The Nomu said before letting out a screech and going on a rampage, trying to hit the ghost Midoriya.
Ready?
A Midoriya, one with a shield on his arm, asked.
Yeah.
The raccoon girl from before said, readying her hammer, while the chicken next to them nodded.
Liberation Aura 10!
He shouted. A weird energy spread through the battlefield. It somehow made me feel reinvigorated.
Airstrike Shield!
He shouted, pointing his arm at the Nomu that was attacking him. A green energy construct like the one the Green Lanterns make went flying at the Nomu, sending him back. Then Midoriya, along with the raccoon girl and the chicken, attacked the Nomu. My gaze shifted as I spotted a wolf Midoriya scratching at a Nomu. I looked at another fight. There I saw that Midoriya-looking girl. She was fighting along with another Midoriya. The way she was tag-teaming with that Midoriya reminded me of me and my twin sister. Another Izuku hit his watch, turning into some sort of atomic monster. John jumped an armored Nomu, sending it flying back with just one punch. While he recuperated, he used his freeze breath on another opponent, which allowed Damien time to attack.
You ready for this?
Nora asked.
Hey, you there? Pay attention!
She shouted, but I had spaced out a bit looking at the battlefield. I shook my head and nodded, putting my focus where it should be, on the battlefield. We both activated our powers, allowing the speed force to flow through us. We rushed at a drill Nomu that was keeping some of our allies busy, wanting to take them down.
Ah, Izuku Midoriya. So we meet again. Any chance you'll give up the Omnitrix this time?
Midoriya's red twin asked. He jumped into the battlefield. The atomic monster turned back into Izuku for a moment.
Albedo,
he exclaimed, an angry expression on his face. Both of them hit their weird watches, turning into two different monsters. One looked like a giant dinosaur with missiles for hand, the other was a diamond monster. It took us about 7 minutes to take down all these Nomu. I know, an eternity, but we managed to drive back our enemy, until only Izuku's weird twin was left. I didn't really pay attention to what the others were doing for most of the fight. I was pretty focused on my side of the fight. Once only that Albedo guy was left, it took us a minute to take him down. He had a bunch of different tricks up his watch, but we managed to defeat him in the end. A loud crash was heard as he broke through the wall that protected the doctor from us. We stepped through, ready for further confrontation. While we stepped through, a flash of light emanated from the diamond guy, and in his place was Izuku again.
It's over, Dr. Garaki. We're here to put your plans on hold,
the guy in the lab coat said, appearing out of nowhere. Kinda scared me if I'm gonna be honest. The man started laughing.
You're too late! The perfect fusion between a celestial sapien and a human has been created! This is truly my best creation, my masterpiece! It was experimental, but it paid off!
The doctor pushed a button on his second console. A strange liquid came out, followed by a starry body, which hit the ground with a large thud.
What?
The doctor exclaimed, surprised as the body seemed to be motionless on the floor.
I do not regret to inform you that the DNA splicing is an extremely risky endeavor. Even if you were to succeed, the species you fused him to has a particular condition.
The man in the lab coat explained. After a moment of laying there still, the body started moving. Red eyes stared at our group.
Hate,
Shigaraki whispered, extending his hand towards us. He stretched his palm out and a wave of energy came at us. The Izuku with the shield jumped in front of us, blocking the attack and saving as many of us as he could, but he failed as most of our forces were in front of us. The shield on the Izuku's hand began to fade away, turning into dust, leaving a horrified expression on his face. We then turned to face the battlefield in front of us. All those Izukus we had just fought with were falling to the ground. They were turning into dust. A big flash of light emanated from the Izuku with the weird watch. Once the flash was over, Izuku had turned into a starry man himself.
Ah!
The ghost Midoriya shouted in pain. He was behind the shield, but he still got scratched on the arm by that weird blast. For some reason, the process was slower on him.
Let me take a look at that,
the man in the lab coat said. He crouched next to the Izuku was grabbing onto his arm as it slowly turned it to dust. He put his arm next to his, emanating a weird light. The arm was now gone, but he managed to stop the spreading.
you, problem.
The celestial Shigaraki said, having turned his attention to Paradox. Before I could even process what was happening, Paradox was gone, replaced with dust.
Great. Now that the vermin are dealt with, you can give me my reward. You know, like we agreed upon?
Albedo said, touching Shigaraki's shoulder.
No.
Shigaraki whispered. It seems like he was still getting used to that power. He swatted the hand away. The thing is, he did it with enough power that both Albedo and the doctor died from the force. They were only chunks on a wall, which had now become a crater. The only recognizable part of them was Albedo's watch.
Motion carried. Take Izuku Midori and friends to a safe spot and protect them.
The starry Midoriya said before Shigaraki could focus on us. In the blink of an eye, we were gone. We were now on a floating island in the middle of a weird dimension.
What are we doing here?
The ghost Midoriya asked, looking around.
Why are we in the ghost zone?
As he said this, I looked around, strucken by my surroundings. I was truly in a very strange dimension, and true to its name, there were ghosts flying around everywhere.
Motion carried. Create a protective barrier to safeguard us from any outside threat.
Midoriya said again. The starry Midoriyas just stood there, while a barrier appeared around us. A ghost tried coming in, but bounced off the dome. This floating island was safeguarded, at least for now.
Hey, look!
John exclaimed, pointing at the starry Midoriya, who although was in his new form, was still slowly turning to dust.
Motion carried. Slow down time for Celestial in order to survive the decay wave.
The starry Midoriya said, causing the decay to slow down significantly. It only had taken part of his feet, so he was good. A bit later, the realization hit us. We were some of the last survivors of the multiverse. We were safe in the last sanctuary left in the multiverse, but there were no resources here. No food, no water, no anything. We were safe, but we had limited time to survive. We had to do something. After all, why did we survive if we were just going to die as well? Me and my sister set a plan into motion. We used the Speed Force to hop from universe to universe in order to gather resources. After a couple days of gathering materials, we had managed to create a shelter in the sanctuary, but we still had a lot of limits. Luckily, we had one important ally with us, Kevin Levin. Using some parts we scavenged from different worlds, he created this pack and some discs that would allow us to better use our powers and even take people with us. With this new technology, we initiated Project Noah's Ark. We went around different worlds gathering resources, people, and all that we could and would need. We were managing to escape by the skin of our teeth. Every time we entered a universe, Shigaraki would come after us, seeking to destroy it. But we were faster. A month after we put together a plan, Nora was way better than me at using the Speed Force. She even time traveled once. She suggested that we take a couple troops back to before Shigaraki attained his godlike powers, and stop him then. I'll go with you, I volunteered. We had done things together all our lives. I wasn't about to let her do this alone.
No,
She said in response. But I tried to respond.
she's right. We can't sacrifice both of our only resource gatherers on this one mission. It could fail.
Kevin said, being the objective voice of reason. I agreed to go with the plan. It would work. I know she could do it. When she succeeded, then none of this would have happened, so it was all good. After a couple days of preparation, we set Operation Scold into motion. A group consisting of Damien, John, Kirishima, a sturdy combatant from Class 1A, and Nora were going to go back to prevent this all from happening. Nora started running, going around in circles to gain enough speed. After a couple moments, she reached enough velocity to break through the time barrier. So they all disappeared, taking advantage of the tech we developed. Seconds later, a flash of light occurred. I thought it was time being rewritten, but I was wrong. Once it faded, only two of the troops we sent back returned, those being Damien and Kirishima. Damien was on the floor, his back broken, whereas Kirishima had a crushed arm and damaged leg.
We failed.
Damien slowly whispered, desperation in his voice, as if he had seen unimaginable horrors. I walked to them, wanting to make sure they were all right. "Where's Nora?" I asked, scared. I knew of the reality I was about to face, but didn't want to face it. Kirishima grabbed onto my shoulder and said,
I'm so sorry.
Once I heard those words, the wave of time hit. The changes occurred, and I could now remember she had gone back, but Shigaraki had stopped her, creating a convergence point, a sort of time sinkhole. They were stopped and killed before they could even complete their mission. Only Kirishima and Damien survived, but by sheer luck, they were saved by Steri Midoriya in the past. Tears streamed down my eyes as I fell to my knees. My best friend, my only family left, was just taken from me. I shook my head, wanting to forget that time. I was the last hope left. I needed to keep a cool head, no matter how much Peter reminded me of that. I needed to bottle it up until it was all done. Just run, Jay, just run, I said to myself. I went as fast as I could, tripping on my feet right before reaching the portal that opened before me. I came crashing out of the Speed Force, landing next to the sanctuary. Regrettably, I had squandered one of our few chances. I had failed my mission. Hey you! You're probably wondering how this fictional character is talking to you, right? Well, that's quite easy to answer. It's called breaking the fourth wall, baby! But anyway, that ain't important right now. What is important is that you should know that the person voicing me has no knowledge of actually doing this. Ain't that crazy? I know, right? Well, anyway, the person voicing me is this guy called the Dragon Lord. And just a little reminder to all of you who are listening to this, he actually runs his own little YouTube channel. Wait, what? You're interested, you say? Well, you can scroll down to the description of this video, and on your way, you might as well just like and subscribe to NoahStorys, of course. But anyway, just look into the description of this video. There you should find a link to his channel. Consider subscribing. You don't have to, but just so you know, if you don't, I will come and steal your undies. Just like how Dragon stole mine. What? What?
Okay, that's the end of the video. You should listen to Jay, or, yeah, well, the voice behind Jay is Dragon. Check him out in the description below. Yeah, he does some pretty cool what ifs, and he's kind of a friend. Well, he has become a friend of mine over the past few months. So, yeah. I wrote the story in the first person, and I always intended to have someone else voice Jay, mainly because I hate, well, I don't hate it, but it's the part I least like about making the what ifs, the actual voicing part. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if this one character who might have some significance later is voiced by someone else? So I did that. And yeah, pretty interesting, right? Anywho, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can also check out my Discord, link in the description below, where I chat with people and stuff. Yeah. So a lot of stuff happened this episode. It's kind of in the old multiverse thing, because yeah, it's how everything got rebooted. That's what this series basically tells. There was this old multiverse where the old series that had the audio errors happened, and then something happened with them. Shigaraki became Celestial Shigaraki, and he was like, fuck all of this, and decided to destroy everything. And now, these people who survived are trying to fix it. How will they fix it? Will they fix it? What will happen? Find out next time, because I honestly have no idea how to justify any of the stuff that happened aside from that. It's a interesting story. It doesn't make much sense. It is a bit connected to MHA, but not that much. There was this little Infinity War reference towards the beginning with Peter dying. If they had recruited Peter, then they could have fixed it a lot easier, because Peter a genius and Peter can fix anything, apparently. I mean, at least that's what I was going with. Like, he could have fixed it, but now they have to go to plan B or whatnot. Yes. Well, hope you enjoyed, and yeah. Hope you're hyped for the next episode, which should be coming out in the next 2 days. And until then, have an absolutely fantastic day, everyone. Bye!